Hey Bagmaker, I'm Sarah Lawson from Sew Sweetness. Thanks so much for joining me for Social Sunday, my monthly sewing chat. Hey everyone, happy Sunday and welcome to Social Sunday. I have a surprise. My guest for tonight is my friend Natalie from So Hungry Hippie. I'm going to be doing a lengthy interview with Natalie on faux leather and vinyl, so I'm super excited.
Yay.
Natalie has a ton of great vinyls in her shop. I've got a link to Natalie's shop in the description, but a few things of general housekeeping to get to before that interview, so stay tuned for that. I wanted to just share a couple of new things that we've got in the shop, and then we'll get straight over to the interview. So brand new zipper pulls. I came across some great dog breed zipper pulls from my manufacturer. So we've got those in the shop right now in 6 different finishes. Danny's going to switch over to the overhead camera so that I can show you what they look like. And also we've got new rectangles and sliders. These are the 3/4 of an inch size, which I've used in my new Sweetbay mini crossbody bag pattern. So these are, again, the 6 different sizes. 6 different finishes for these. I've just got the silver ones out to show for those. And then here's all the new zipper pulls. And in the next 2 months, we'll have more colors of zipper tape and new zipper pulls to the shop, but for this month I decided to go with just the dog breed, so I guess I'll lay some of these out on the table. Again, I have the 6 different finishes, but I just pulled out silver for showing on the show. And I know there's tons more dog breeds out there than what I've got in the shop right now. There's a few more that I haven't picked up yet. I'll try to add more in the future, but I wanted to start somewhere with some of these, so these are the ones I decided to go with first. My mom, of course, my mom and dad loved the Australian Shepherd. So some of them are just the dog heads, and then some of them are the bodies. And these are all number 5 pulls also. And then I've also got one cat. They didn't have a lot of cats, but I thought that one looked pretty interesting. So these are all the dog breed pulls we've got in the shop right now. There's a link in the description in case you're interested in checking them out after the show. And as always, if you have any suggestions for zipper pulls that I can add in the future, please let me know, because most of the upcoming zipper pulls that I'll be adding are actually things we've gotten suggested either on the live show or via email. So I always appreciate your suggestions. I have a question for you. Let me know in the comments. What's your favorite animal? Natalie, what's your favorite animal?
Well, besides my pug, probably leopards.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm sure everyone knows my favorite is horses, but I certainly appreciate all the different dog zipper pulls as well. Since it's March now, we have our March challenge coming up, but before that, I wanted to announce the winners of the February challenge. Those winners were number 8, Diane, and number 11, Wendy. Congratulations to you both. I've already sent both of them an email with their prizes, and we'll also have prizes for the March challenge, which is twofold, as always. So the first option is to make the Minikins Oleander yoga bag. Danny's going to put some pictures up on the screen of what that looks like in case you think you might be interested in making that one for this month's challenge. It's got room for your rolled up yoga mat and also space for a towel. And you can also make this for, one of my pattern testers had a great idea to make this for bringing rolled up interfacing to her sewing nights with her friends. So I thought that was a super great idea. You can also use it to store, I know it's a little fancy for storing your interfacing at home, but I really liked the idea of taking the interfacing to sewing nights. These photos are courtesy of Shara, and we recently had a profile of her in the newsletter, so I hope you enjoyed that. And then the second option for the March challenge is to make a Sew Sweetness bag with solid fabric. So you can either use quilting cottons such as Kona quilting solids, or if you'd like to use a different solid such as wax canvas or vinyl, that's an option too. And I've got a link in the description to the March challenge. In addition to the March challenge, separately, we also have a sew along starting today, in fact, for the Sweetbay mini crossbody bag. Here's the schedule. Week 1, which is starting today, is for cutting out your fabric and interfacing and attaching your fabric to the interfacing. So that's up until step number 4. And I have a link to my blog post for week 1 in the description of today's show. So once you finish the assignment of cutting out your fabric and interfacing, just snap a quick photo and you can upload it on my blog to be eligible for prizes. All right, 2 more things to get to before the great interview with Natalie. We've added a ton of new backpacks to the shop, so I just wanted to share the fabrics with you on the show. These are all 2 packs of fabric, so 2 yards total. 1 piece I've chosen for a suggested option for an exterior of a bag, and the second option for the lining. So Danny's going to switch to the overhead camera so I can show you what all those look like. I love this graffiti print. It's sort of got like a cream background and dark lining fabric that I picked for that one. And to go along with that, my favorite color is green. I don't use it often enough, but I'm not sure if this is translating really great on camera, but this is sort of a, what shade of green would you say that is?
Like a light olive almost.
Yeah, that's a good description for that.
Black and gray?
Yeah. I really loved this combination of prints because it's sort of, parts of it is handwritten like recipes. And it just really reminds me of my mom and my grandma sharing recipes, like handwritten on recipe cards. So I thought these were really, really cute, would be great for pouches. This next one's actually a lightweight organic canvas with a great textured lining. I love this burgundy. It's not something I would reach for a lot, but something just really drew me to this color. I love the graphic print. And here's another one. This is also a lightweight organic canvas print. For years, I've been a really big fan of Chino fabrics. This is actually a cotton linen print, and so I picked up this. This is a quilting cotton to go along with it. I just really love the damask print. I love all the different like woodland animals in there. And here's another Chino. This is a separate backpack, also cotton linen, and this one's a quilting cotton. I just love the cute deer with the little red glasses. I just think they're really adorable. This one's another organic lightweight canvas. And then this one you might have seen recently. I used this one to make one of the new patterns. So this is sort of, this isn't white here, this is sort of like a cream in the leaves. My parents love, my mom especially loved this one. This is organic fabric. Dogs at the beach. Just thought it was adorable. This would be great to make a super bloom tote with, just because I feel like it's a great summer theme. And I've already had some emails about this one, sort of a lemon texty print. Another great one for summer. All right, just a few more. This one I'm going to open up because there's some animals in this particular print. There's some chameleons over here. There's some macaws. They're sort of almost hidden in this tile print. And here's the fabric that I chose to go along with that. I've got a few more. I thought this would be really cute for maybe a diaper bag with the swans. And then I envisioned sort of like an amethyst project bag maybe with this one, with the sort of like the watercolor tiles. And there's a lot of different colors on this. And I chose this print to go along with that one. My friend Bronwyn loves blue, so whenever I see a blue print, I generally pick it up. Not that I'm assuming that she's going to use all of these different fabrics, but it just kind of makes me think of her, so. And then I have one more. This is another one with the chameleons in sort of a different colorway. This one's a little bit bigger than the red one though. And then another tile print. So I've got a link in the description to all of the backpacks. So if you're interested in any of these fabrics, you can check them out after the show. All right. Let's see. One more thing before the interview. I'm not doing a book review for tonight's show just because I wanted to kind of condense my normal Social Sunday so we had plenty of time for the interview with Natalie, but I did want to throw up a recommendation for a fiction book up on the screen. Danny's going to put that up there, and I've also linked to it in the description. This book I've probably read 5 or 6 times. I circle back to it every couple years. It's called Circle of Friends by Maeve Binchy, and it's about childhood friends that go to university in Dublin, and it's sort of about the drama surrounding them going to university, and just the author really creates a world that I get sucked into. And she has other books. They're not necessarily a continuation of Circle of Friends, but just a cast of characters, and it kind of just makes me feel like I'm part of that, if that makes sense. So my recommendation for this month is Circle of Friends, and again, I've linked to that in the description. So before we get over to the interview, I wanted to know if you have ever sewn with faux leather or vinyl before. So let me know that in the comments. I did ask a couple weeks ago in the Facebook group if you had any questions about working with faux leather or vinyl. So I compiled all of your questions together, and Natalie is here to talk about vinyls and different tools to use with that. So, all right, Danny, are you ready?
I'm ready.
We're interrupting the show for a special report.
Because now it is time for Bag Lab.
All right, so today I have my friend Natalie from So Hungry Hippie. Thanks so much for coming and joining us in the studio.
Thanks for inviting me. Happy to be here.
Natalie's actually our first live in-person guest, so I'm both excited and nervous at the same time. But Natalie is really the expert in sewing with vinyls and faux leathers, and I've linked to Natalie's shop, So Hungry Hippie, in the description, so please go to her website. Please follow her on social media, sign up for her newsletter. You can find all that at her website. And I guess I'll jump right into the questions just because there's a lot of them. You guys had a lot of questions. And Natalie brought some samples and things to talk about in regards to sewing with vinyl. If you have any questions throughout the show and you're watching live, go ahead and type those in the comments at any time. Danny's going to be collecting your questions, and if he comes across any questions that we don't end up covering in the interview, after the interview, Natalie will also be answering some questions live. And she also brought some vinyls to give away, so some of the giveaways will be live, so you'll want to make sure to stay tuned to the end of the show for that. And also, as always, we have the option for those that watch the recording of the show to enter a giveaway as well, so that'll be a separate giveaway. All right, Natalie, so my first question is, what's the difference between vinyl and faux leather? Because I feel like lots of different terms are sort of bandied about, and what's proper, or what's the difference?
It's really just marketing. Vinyl and faux leather are the same product. Sometimes you will find that somebody will call a vinyl a certain feel, like a smooth feel, but then they'll call a faux leather one that has some grain to it, which I'll show.
Okay.
But yeah, they're the same product.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there certain thicknesses that are appropriate for bag making on a domestic machine?
Yes, so I find that anything between 0.4 millimeters up to about a millimeter or maybe 1.2 is sewable on home sewing machines. Yeah, for sure.
And do you have that noted on your website for each of the products? Okay.
Yes. All of the vinyl that we supply are all sewable on home machines.
Oh, okay. So they don't have to wonder if...
Nope.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
That makes it easy. What about marine vinyl? Because I've heard people talk about marine vinyl before too.
Yeah, marine vinyl tends to be a little thicker.
Okay.
And what you would, if you ever have been on a boat, you know, the seats and everything, how it's waterproof.
So that's why it's called marine vinyl.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's how it kind of looks. It's more retro is how I would describe it. It's more of a 70s vinyl look.
Okay, so is that harder to sew with?
No,
since it's thicker?
Nope, it's fine as long as you have the right tools, like a Teflon foot.
Okay, Danny's going to switch to the overhead so you can see Natalie's Teflon foot, and he's going to zoom in.
Yeah, this is my Teflon foot that I use on my Juki TL2000. And so it's skinny enough that oftentimes... Oh, sorry. Yep, like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it just hooks on. It's very easy to take on and off. It's got a smooth bottom finish, and it just glides right over the vinyl without any issues. And each model, I do recommend you go to your local sewing supply shop and ask for the correct Teflon foot for your brand of machine, because I've had bad experiences with trying to order it on the big A, and it's not actually the right foot.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
So do you need to have the Teflon foot, do you think? Or are there other things
So
you can work around?
sometimes, like if you're going to sew, I always tell people, if you're going to make more than one vinyl bag or pouch, get a Teflon foot, because your life is going to be so much easier.
I feel like they're pretty cheap, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's not, the right tools make a difference.
Yeah.
So I would get it. But, you know, sometimes if somebody just has a little piece that they're trying to scoot by, some duct tape on the bottom of the foot might work. It's not the greatest from my experience. And sometimes you could also just put like Christmas tissue paper
Oh, okay.
or holiday tissue paper on
Okay.
top of the vinyl and use your regular foot, and then you'll just tear it
Okay,
away at the
I
end.
see.
Yeah.
Christina wanted to know, is there a special needle to use with vinyl?
There are. So I would recommend that you get Microtex needles. I use this brand at Schmetz, but any Microtex will be great for you. I tend to use the 80-12 size, which is big enough for me, but some people like to use a 90.
Oh,
So
okay.
it-
So either option is okay?
Either, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So another question is, do some vinyls have different, like, pliability, stiffness, or even stretch? Do you have
Oh,
maybe a
yeah.
few examples?
Sure, for sure. So I like to show these, the hand of the vinyl. So this one is a jelly vinyl.
Dan, you want to maybe do overhead for this?
Maybe we'll go overhead, yeah. And so the jelly, it's very pliable. It's kind of bendy.
Okay.
It sort of feels like a Cabbage Patch doll back in the day.
Oh, yeah, it
Right?
does,
Their
yeah.
heads, their faces. And so that is really fun to sew with. And a lot of times people do not need a Teflon foot with that one. It just glides.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Do you use interfacing with this one too, or?
I usually, if I'm using this, I will usually make a pouch or a bag that is see-through.
Okay.
You know, like a poolside tote.
Like those pouches you have over there?
Oh, yeah. So this one isn't technically jelly vinyl, but this is what I would do with it.
Okay.
I thought I brought my little triangle pouch, but it looks like
Oh, I see it.
didn't.
I see it.
You
It's
see
green
it?
under there, right?
Oh, this is a pouch with jelly. That's
Okay.
like, this takes 10 minutes to sew.
Okay.
So it's just 2 rectangles and put in your zipper, and
Oh,
you've
that's
got a
super
little
cute.
waterproof pouch,
Yeah,
right?
I like that. Oh, Karen wanted to know, how is jelly vinyl different than other vinyl?
Jelly is just this sort of semi-translucent.
Okay, so that's what differentiates it? Okay.
That's the
I see.
difference. Whereas this one you can see perfectly through,
Okay,
you know.
I see.
This you just see the kind of outline.
Oh, so it's like more opaque, is that why?
yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
see.
And they call it, I think they call it jelly because I don't know if you were old enough, but do you remember jelly shoes back in the day?
Yeah, I do.
So it reminds people, I think, of those as well.
Okay, okay.
And so, yeah. Then we've got, this is part of a Moon Glow line, I call it, and this is more of a faux leather. It has a textured grain to
Oh,
it.
yeah, I can see that, yeah.
Yep. And it's got a soft
Oh,
backing.
yeah,
Focus
I
on
can
for a second.
see.
Just so they can see the texture, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that shows up really nicely.
And you can even see the backing on this one too, kind of.
Yeah.
I'll go close.
Yeah.
It's really white. Hold on, I got an idea.
Soft and white, so it won't stick to the bed of the machine.
There you go.
Yeah, you
Oh,
can see the
yeah.
you can see the backing fabric really good. Okay. Interesting.
And so that one is really nice. You can interface these opaque ones. I interface with anything. I think I've tried all of the products
okay.
out there. If you want more stiffness to the bag.
Okay.
Here's another one that is a bit bigger of a grain.
Oh yeah, I can
See?
see the difference. Oh, interesting.
Again, it has the soft backing.
Okay, yeah, I see.
Makes it really easy to sew. And then we have this, I call this faux lamb's leather because I think this piece is big enough for you, Sarah, to make a skirt. If you wanted to. It's a little stretchy.
Oh yeah. I see. In one direction it stretches, in the other it doesn't. Okay,
Yeah, it
interesting.
has a really nice feel. one of my people that comes into the shop, she quilted this and then made her mom a bag. It looked like a Chanel bag.
Oh, really?
It was amazing.
So since it's stretchy, do you have to handle it differently? Like,
what I tell
interfacing?
people is to knock out this stretch, just fuse a layer of SF101 on the back, and that'll knock out the
Oh, okay.
stretch.
do you need to use like a pressing cloth when you fuse?
Not if you're going from the back.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Oh,
never use
okay.
a pressing cloth
Okay.
went from the back. The only time I have to use the pressing cloth is when I have the bag finished and I'm trying to press the seams or,
Oh, okay. I see.
you know, just
Yeah.
you never want to touch an iron directly to the
yeah.
vinyl. Yeah. And then this one is a little bit stiffer than the faux lambs, but it's still very thin, easy to sew. There's no stretch in this one.
Yeah, there's no stretch.
Right.
Okay.
And so
Interesting.
I call this one a faux leather on the site just to differentiate it a little bit
Oh, sure.
by
Okay.
collection. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. You can see the backing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then you get into, you know, the really fun designs, which is really why I was so drawn to vinyl, is because you can get such funky colors and designs.
Interesting.
And so this one is a little bit thicker. This is like a 0.08 millimeter. This one is a 0.06.
Okay. They still feel, all of them feel thin, like
Right.
easy to sew with. Okay.
Yeah, not thick. And it just depends on the look you're going for your finished bag.
Would you need interfacing on that one that's a little thicker?
I do, most of the time I do. It just depends. Like if I was making the chickadee, I would probably do the interfacing just like Sarah has it in the pattern because I would want that bag to
Yeah,
stand up.
like structured.
Yeah, and be
Yeah.
really structured. Yeah. But again, you don't have to. Like if you're making a little zipper pouch or like this little zipper pouch, I didn't interface this because it doesn't really need it.
Oh, yeah, because it's a smaller.
Yeah, it's
I see.
small. And it's okay if it collapses, if I pack it or whatever.
So if you're looking online, how do you know what vinyl is good quality or not? Like, is there a difference? Obviously, everything you sell on your site is good quality, but
Yeah, it's really a lot of trial and error, I would say. What I would look for is that it's not super thin because then it's going to perforate when you're sewing it,
oh, okay.
and that it's not super thick because then you might need an industrial machine.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if that's really a question of quality. It just depends
Oh.
on what you're making and what you're using it for.
I see.
You
Okay.
know what I mean?
That makes sense. Oh, Myra
Yeah.
wanted to know, can you paint on jelly vinyl?
Oh, good question, Myra. I haven't actually painted on it. That would be a really
Oh,
good
interesting.
test.
If
Yeah.
anyone watching live has painted on jelly vinyl, let us know in the comments, and Danny will try to look out for that and put it up on the screen.
Yeah.
Cindy says, do you know if security considers that see-through enough? Oh, does she mean airplane
The,
security?
the jelly.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's funny, Cindy, because I went through Madison Airport, Chicago O'Hare, and the Dominican Republic with this, and they took it. But I will say, I think a lot of stadiums now want it so you can see totally through,
Oh,
right through it.
okay.
So it just depends.
Depends on how lucky. Danny,
How lucky you
well,
are.
It's up to the person working, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. It
They
depends
can
who
be
you
a jerk
get.
and say it's not see-through.
Because Danny
Sure.
used to work for
TSA.
at the airport, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Depends on their mood.
Yeah,
Right. Right. Totally.
Windless Originals wanted to know, how much stretch is there?
So each vinyl, it will be dependent on the type. Most of the vinyls don't have stretch, but for instance, the faux lamb's leather, right in the listing, I say this one has stretch. And so I show this a lot, like in videos, that if you don't want it to stretch, just fuse that SF101
Okay.
onto the back and knock that out.
interesting.
But some people like the stretch, you know, just depends.
Probably depends on the project, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Elizabeth says, do you use interfacing on the Moonglow?
Yes. I've used...
Which one's the Moonglow?
Moonglow is this.
Okay.
I have used, I think, almost every Pellon. 809, SF101. I use a lot of Bianni's Soft and Stable, like Sarah does. I've used even Fusible Fleece. Yes, Elaine. All of these vinyls can be embroidered on the machine. I have lots of folks that will bring in their bags where they embroider it. You know, they have them,
Okay.
either a sewing machine that does embroidery in the hoop, or I have a lady bringing me a big roll of vinyl. She's going to embroider it on her long arm. I guess it's more like quilting it. It's
yeah.
so cool, the intricate designs. So yeah, it'll stand up to that.
Is there a certain, are you familiar with what embroidery stabilizer should be used?
So I think most of the time they're floating it in the hoop.
Okay.
That's what I did. And using a tearaway stabilizer. Clovis.
I'm here.
Obviously, Clovis is very familiar, but Natalie's husband, Ramel, is here, and him and Danny are off to the side, I guess, geeking out over the computers and stuff. Let's see. Oh, what types of backing fabric? Well, we already talked about some of the different backing fabrics. Is there one type of backing fabric that's better for bag making, or should any be avoided?
I think when you're new to sewing vinyl, you might want to make sure that the backing is a soft, non-sticky, just for your first few sews. I think that will be probably the easiest.
Like anything with like a fabric on the back?
Yeah.
Any type of?
Yeah,
Okay.
the soft fabric, because once in a while I'll hear from someone that they feel like it's sticking on the bed of their machine.
Okay.
And so I say just get one of those Teflon baking sheets. You can get them on, the Big A, and tape it around the bed of the machine if you're having any issues with sticking, and then continue to sew as normal. And it works like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think most of the time the ones that I have had to do that with are the more metallic, because I think with the paint finish, there's a little stickier.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Good question about cutting. How do you cut out your vinyl pieces? How do you personally cut out your vinyl pieces?
I cut out mine with my rotary cutter.
Okay.
Yeah, 45 or 60. I have, I think mostly Havel's and Olfa rotary blades. You can also get these Havel's nonstick shears.
I've never seen those before.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you should get them. They're
Okay.
awesome. I've had one pair for about 8 years.
Wow.
I know. I usually have to get new scissors all the time. But these are coated with a Teflon coating, so it's for sure not going to stick to anything.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What about cutting out your pieces when it's like a pattern piece where you have to cut on the fold? Like, what do you do for that?
I treat it just like fabric.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I just put that
So
vinyl
you're not worried about like the fold being like
too thick or anything?
well, like making a fold permanent, like.
No, so it won't. So the thing about this vinyl is because you can iron it from the wrong side, any folds or creases will just iron out.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, it'll just iron out. So I don't have a problem with that. Now, if you wanted to, you could always take one of your pattern pieces and then flip it
Okay, and
do
I
the
see.
whole thing. Yeah,
Okay.
you do a lot of acrylic templates too, right?
Yes.
So you could just get the acrylic template. It'd be even easier.
I guess. Oh, all right. We already talked about the needles, but there was a question also about nonstick needles.
Yes.
In regards to textured vinyls, are nonstick needles recommended?
You can totally get nonstick needles. I actually did an experiment where I tried making some bags with the Microtex versus the nonstick.
Okay.
And I really didn't see a difference.
Oh, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to know. And what about thread?
Yes.
What thread do you use?
I use an all-purpose. I use Gutermann all-purpose thread. It's just never let me down. It likes all the different machines that I've ever been sewing on.
Okay.
And anything with that polyester content will be stronger. So I know some people have good luck with all cotton in their vinyl bags, but I haven't. Sometimes
Okay.
it'll snap.
Okay.
So I like to have the polyester content.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And can you use heavy text threads for top stitching?
Yeah, you can. It looks
You can?
great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you happen to have any text threads on any of your
I
bags?
didn't bring
No,
any,
that's okay.
darn it. Yeah.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Let's see.
I've got a few questions too.
Okay,
Oh, cool.
Someone ready?
go ahead. Yep. Pat says, "Hey, Captain, exactly what is lamb's vinyl?"
So the faux lamb's vinyl is just really pliable and soft, so it can scrunch down. And this is what you would think of for, like in Wilson's leather when they had, jackets and skirts and leather. This is how it feels.
Oh, okay.
So it's just really, really soft and supple. And again, it has some stretch. So you'd want to knock out the stretch if you're doing bags, especially if there are
Okay.
curves or anything. Yeah.
Laura says, any advice on ripping out stitches from vinyl? Any way to heal the holes?
No, unfortunately, in vinyl, the holes are permanent. So I always tell people, try not to freak out. If that happens and you need to rip it out, just take your seam allowance a little bit further
Oh,
in.
that's a good idea.
Yeah, and you can
Yeah.
hide it.
Deanie says, will vinyl wrinkle, especially when turning the bag? And how would you remove if so?
Yeah, so a lot of times that does happen when birthing the bag. So I just take a mini iron and I take it inside the bag and I'm ironing. And then if I need to iron the outside of the bag, so let's say I wanted to make these corners pop,
Okay.
I've seen you do this sometimes. You
Yeah.
kind of smash the corners down. I would just put a pressing cloth on there and iron it and press
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Or use Wonder Clips. But yeah, all the this has been birthed quite a few times because I've done that for people in the store, and it comes right out with just a little pressing.
Rosa says, can you install rivets on vinyl?
Yes, you can. I do it all the time. So here are my. Sometimes I do rivets on my straps because I'm real lazy by the end and I just want to be done. I'm just like, get this bag finished. So I'll just throw in some rivets and it's fine. Yeah.
Deborah says, are all or any of these vinyls washable in the laundry? Oh, that's a great question.
The soft vinyl line, which I call the soft vinyl collection, like super original name, right? It's because it's really soft. These you can wash and dry. I've tested them all. I always recommend on cool just because it is vinyl.
Well,
yeah. But the others, like this bag, I've put through the laundry before and it's been fine. I don't know if you'd want to wash these in a machine. I would probably just spot clean to be safe, especially on a finished bag.
Like with a damp cloth, maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I have a domestic machine and have never sewn with vinyl. What is a good vinyl to start with?
The soft vinyl collection, you're gonna love it.
And are these
Yes,
soft
these are
vinyl?
soft vinyls. These
I was
are,
admiring these before the show.
yeah. This is quilted with soft and stable foam underneath.
Feels so good with the. Actually, can
Yeah.
we switch to the overhead camera, Danny, for these? I love the colors, and they're really like, is iridescent the correct?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's showing up on camera, but I see like shades of pink and yellow and green. It's just really awesome.
Yeah.
When we
and-
visited Natalie's shop, that was the vinyl I was most interested in. I don't know if you remember, Natalie, when I saw your guys' video.
Yes.
I just wanted to touch it because you can
Yeah.
grab it and smush it, and it goes back to normal. It's very cool
Yeah,
stuff.
it feels great with the soft and stable on the inside too.
Right. And these are such fast projects. Like, Sarah, you'd have this done in about 20 minutes, I bet.
Can I say one thing, too? When we had the sewing retreats, Natalie was there, and I think she made 2 airplane bags by the time some people
Yeah.
didn't make one yet. Just saying on her speed of sewing.
Oh, that's so funny. Yes, I love the aeroplane bag.
All right. Were there more questions, Danny? Oh, Terry says, can I say hi to Natalie?
Hi, Terry.
All right. There were some questions about tension also. Does
yeah.
tension need to be adjusted for sewing with vinyl?
It depends really on your model of machine. You might want to take some scraps and experiment a little bit because it really can depend. The one that I think most people have to adjust their foot pressure tension, I'm not talking about thread tension, is the TPU. That's the TPU. It's a little bit thicker.
What
if
does
you-
TPU stand for?
Good question.
Oh,
I
okay.
forgot. I learned last week and it already went out of my
okay.
head. But it's just a little bit thicker, and with that printing process, I find that even on my Juki, I have to just increase the
Oh,
foot pressure
Interesting.
a bit.
It stands for thermoplastic polyurethane.
That's it. Thank you, Danny.
Also, how do you avoid the thread looping from the bobbin when sewing things like thicker clear vinyl?
So that again is almost always it's a tension issue. And I had a couple people come into the shop and tell me that they had to crank their foot pressure tension all the way up when they were sewing the
okay.
TPUs.
Okay.
Yeah, so just don't be afraid of your machine. That's a big thing. Don't be afraid to mess up. Play with your machine and just experiment for a little bit to get your confidence going with the vinyl.
Do you usually like make a little test, do a little tester, like with a scrap of the vinyl you're going to be working with for the project?
That's such a good idea. And then bonus points if you put it in a notebook somewhere and jot down your notes, because it's so easy to forget.
When you make the little tester, do you have it attached to interfacing that you're using, or just the fabric by itself?
It depends. If I think I'm going to sew that vinyl into a bag that calls for an interfacing, I'll test it all.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And somebody asked about stitch length. I generally do a 3 millimeter stitch length because if you go too small, you'll perforate your vinyl and tear it.
Okay, so is 3 millimeter for the actual sewing of the bag, and then
Yeah.
so what do you do for top stitching then?
4.
4. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I do.
Carla says, I sometimes use clear vinyl to make shaker style pouches for kids and use a hair straightening tool to secure the edges. Would that work with the jelly vinyl?
Oh, wow. A hair straightening tool. I have never thought of that.
Would you
I
get
would
flat
test
iron?
it. Yeah. Yeah, flat iron. I would test it first, Carla, and make sure it's not melting the jelly. That's my only fear, but that's a great idea. That works.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Joan says, do you bind the seams in pouches or leave them raw?
Well, I personally leave them raw. You don't see them
Do you
generally.
have one
I'm
that
trying
you
to
can?
think, do I have one
The
here?
green was the green one raw on the inside.
Or this one?
Oh,
this
yeah,
is raw. So, oops, I closed it. So this, you don't really notice the
Yeah,
seams.
I can't really see the seams.
Uh-uh.
I'm sure, especially once you have things inside, right?
Yeah. You can always bind it if you want to get fancy. It's your preference. A lot of times when I'm sewing a pouch like with a printed vinyl, I won't add binding because then it takes away from the print, the design.
Oh, what about this jelly pouch you had? Was this raw edges
That's
on
raw
the inside?
edges.
Okay.
Yep. And they're not even sharp. Like you can run your fingers on there.
Oh yeah, they're not sharp.
No.
Interesting.
fine.
Okay, cool. Are any of
Sarah, hold on.
oh sorry.
Oh,
Oh,
Tamra.
Tamra. Hey, Tamra. Using a leader scrap and holding the bobbin thread when starting helps when sewing the TPU.
Great point.
Thank you.
That's really good.
Good
Tamra.
suggestion. Oh, this is a good question. Are any of the above needle thread tension different from sewing jelly vinyl or clear vinyl?
So that would just depend again on your machine most of the time. So
Oh, okay.
I just have a Juki TL 2000, which I think is a step down from yours, but I don't have to change much going from jelly to the clear printed to
Okay.
the clear glitter to moon glow. But on my Bernina 1008, which is a very entry machine,
Okay.
I have to change the
Oh, I see. It's very.
tension.
It's just specific to the machine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you keep it from sticking? Someone wanted to know.
So it
Or
doesn't.
do you have a problem with sticking?
I don't have a problem
Okay,
with sticking.
okay.
Yeah, and again, if it's sticking to the bed of your machine, just tape a Teflon baking sheet over the bed of your machine
Okay.
and you'll be fine. It won't stick when you're sewing if you have a Teflon foot.
Okay.
One time I did a video, it was like 10 seconds long, and I was trying to sew a bag with
Mm-hmm.
moon glow vinyl with a regular foot, and it just stayed in place. And it wouldn't go forward, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And then I'd switch to the Teflon foot, and it sewed like a dream.
Okay.
So sometimes it's just about the tool.
I see.
Yeah.
Was that
A question,
Did Natalie
I think.
answer that
Yeah.
question that was on the screen? Or?
What was it? I already forgot. Would a walking foot help with TPU? It might. I have heard some people have good luck with roller foot and walking foot. However, again, it might want to stop if you're using a vinyl like a TPU without that Teflon component to it. So,
Okay.
as always, try it and let
Okay.
me know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try it. Was there another question? Oh, Liddy.
Liddy says 2 mega sew 2 mega sewers. I'm having learning from you both. Thanks for tuning in, Liddy.
She's awesome.
All right. Let's see. We talked about stitch length already. Interfacing. How do you decide if using foam or not, foam interfacing or not, when sewing with vinyl?
Depends on the look that you want. So I usually say if you want it to have more structure, or if you want to quilt the vinyl and have it puffy, sort of puffy looking, use the foam. I use the foam all the time. In fact, this bag has foam in it, even in the bottom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can feel
Feel it?
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
But I wouldn't have to necessarily. you can leave it out if you don't
Okay.
want that structured look.
Okay.
You know, but you can do whatever you want. This person says, how do you iron on interfacing to vinyl without melting the vinyl? You just iron it from the back side. I use high heat. I tell people all the time, I am not careful. I just iron that interfacing right onto the back of the vinyl. And I don't let the iron sit in one place for a super long time. I'm moving it around. But I have mine on high heat all the time. And I've been doing this vinyl for like 12 years now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and I've never had it melt.
Can you use HTV, which stands for heat transfer vinyl, on the vinyl?
You can. So our friend Michelle has done that.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's fused designs right on top of the moon glow.
Wow,
I don't have that kind of machine. I have never done it, but yeah, I've seen
Okay.
lots of people do it.
Okay. When using vinyl, does the size of the bag or project matter? Like if it's a bigger project or a smaller, do you ever have to consider what type of vinyl you're using?
You might. I would say most of the time you're probably safe using whatever vinyl you want, but the key would be the interfacing.
Okay.
So
I see.
however you want it to look at the end, just really think about how the interfacing will structure the vinyl for you.
Okay.
Some vinyl might be, like this one, is probably stiff enough that you don't need a bunch of interfacing, if
Okay.
any, and you'll be okay.
Okay.
But others, especially like the faux lambs, you're going to need a lot of interfacing.
Oh, right, because it's...
It's stretchy, it's soft, it wants to fold down.
Okay.
Yeah. No fraying equals no binding. Yeah, that's right.
Can you remember any bags where you decided to like step down the interfacing because of the vinyl?
Oh,
like,
sure.
You mean the stiffness, or do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Sometimes I think I've sewn almost every brand of pattern out there, and a lot of times if I feel like, oh, this might be a little thick, there's two things I go to a lot. One is hammering the seams down with a mallet, and I kid you not,
Okay.
it works like crazy.
Can we put this
Yeah.
mallet in the overhead?
Yeah, and so all I do is like, let's pretend the seams, I'm gonna sew the seams. I just hit it like this. And it is so amazing. Ramel thought I was joking, and I made him try it. And he's like, wow, that was a lot easier to sew.
Isn't that like a clapper device too?
Like
I'm not
this?
even joking.
Oh.
No, it's like
Clapper.
a wood device used for smashing
For
seams.
I know what you're talking about. Except that, Danny, is usually when you're using the iron.
Okay.
So I don't think that would work directly on the
And
vinyl.
this tool you have in your shop?
I do.
Okay, so if
Yeah.
you are interested in checking this out, Natalie has this on her website.
Yeah. So that works a lot. And then the other thing is, for certain bags, if they call for foam and I'm using a stiffer vinyl, I might leave the foam out and just do SF 101.
Oh, okay. Really?
And or even 1 or 2 layers of SF 101, and that's enough.
Okay.
And leave out the foam. Yeah. Just be confident in your gut instinct a lot of times. If you have any experience, you probably know what you want to do.
Do you have any tips for preventing skip stitches or stitches leaving a ladder? Do you know what I mean by the ladder, when you turn the bag and you can see like the ladder of stitches on the side?
Yeah. So that is often tension. So I
Okay.
would just turn it back around and sew another strip after increasing your foot pressure tension.
Okay.
A lot of times it can be the thread too. So once in a while, if that happens to me, I will rethread my machine, make sure my bobbin is threaded right and good to go,
Okay.
and sew it again, and then it's good. Now, a lot of times, if it's on the seam of a bag that's going to take a lot of pressure when I'm using the bag,
Okay.
I'll sew one pass, and then
Okay.
I'll sew another pass just outside of it. So
Okay,
it
not
just,
on top of each other.
yeah.
Okay.
Just so there's that kind of reinforced
That makes sense.
seam. Yeah.
Let's see. Gloria says her mallet is amazing. It doesn't leave marks. Oh, awesome. Thanks,
Yay,
Gloria. Do you have any tips for sewing handles to avoid them getting twisted?
Oh, yes. Oh, my gosh. I had to do a whole tutorial on this because it happened to me so often. So a lot of times with vinyl handles now with the strip,
Okay.
I will do a strip of interfacing. SF 101 is often what I go
Okay.
to. And then when I'm sewing it, I'm very conscious that I'm not pulling as I'm sewing,
Oh.
because with long skinny
Yes.
strips, you can tend to pull.
Yeah.
And then when I sew down one side, I take it out and I just turn it over and I sew the same direction as I did the other side. Because if you
Yeah.
if you sew down and pivot and then sew up the other direction, it often has that.
Yeah, it's a little
Shimmy.
wonky.
Yeah. It does the twist.
Julie says, do you use a seam roller on vinyl?
Sure do. I have one in my tool set with vinyl. I probably use the nylon mallet more than the seam roller, but this works too. Yeah.
Thank you, Kathy. That's Natalie's website. We do have it in the description, but Kathy just put it up on in the comments. Thanks, Kathy. Is it, besides using the mallet, is there any other ways to decrease bulk in the seams?
Yes, you can always trim out your interfacing.
Okay.
You can trim out your interfacing, leave it out of the seam. You
Okay.
can also iron your seam flat with a pressing cloth,
Okay,
and then you can sew down each flange of the seam allowance too.
I see what you're
Yeah.
saying. Okay. Which of my patterns do you think would work well, either with all vinyl or like a part vinyl, like maybe like quilting cotton with vinyl?
Oh my gosh, Sarah, all of your patterns.
Oh.
I mean, I love them all. How many have I made? Probably the majority. But like, can you imagine this in a vinyl? The chickadee in a vinyl?
Oh yeah, that would look great.
It would be awesome for on like an airline carry-on. Yeah, I think I've made. Let's see. Let me think for a second. Well, the aeroplane. I even did it half and half. Half vinyl on the bottom. I'll do that a lot, especially if there's a zipper pocket at the top. Maybe I don't want to mess with the vinyl for a zipper pocket.
I see what
And
you're
so I'll
saying.
do the top half fabric, the bottom half vinyl.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, all of your patterns, I think. Oh, the Zeppelin. I did the Zeppelin in the Dreamscape vinyl. Do you remember that, Ramel? I was so proud of that. Yeah.
So do you think like a pouch would be a good first? Any pouch, really?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Any kind of just the simplest
basic
thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, do you recommend using an edge paint? Like
Oh, sure.
Is there a certain one that you like to use?
I've tried them all. They're all fine, but you know, most often I cheat and I use Sharpie.
Oh, really?
I do.
Do you
And
think
it
it looks about the same like as the edge painting, or
Well,
good enough?
If you're nitpicking, the edge painting looks better.
Okay.
But if you're like, okay, it's going to be your bag and nobody's going to come up and do
Yeah,
this to you,
that's true.
like the Sharpie's fine. So that's what I do.
Ella says, Natalie, just curious, how did you come up with the name So Hungry Hippie? It's very funny.
So I was in the Army, Ramel was in the Air Force, and I got out and started dabbling in making my own company. And he kept calling me a hippie, and he's like, "You're always hungry." so we had to throw "so" on there so that people don't think we're a food company,
That's funny.
right? Yes, but I'm a hippie at heart too.
Oh, this is a good question. Jennifer says, how did you ladies meet?
When did we meet? Like over a decade ago.
I feel like there was it the sewing meetups?
Yes.
There were these- there
in
were-
Lockport.
Yeah, in our local Chicago area, we went to like a sewing evening where
Yes.
we had food and like we just worked on our own projects.
That's right. Yes.
And I'll never forget, you said something about like when's the next one? Let me know because I'm just gonna fly in. And I thought you meant when she said fly in, I thought she meant like I'll just come in quickly. But that's not what you meant, right?
Right.
Tell everybody what you.
So then I lived in, it was about 2 hours west of here. And so I got my pilot's license at 17. And so sometimes my dad will let me borrow his airplane. And I fly into the local airport and I land. And so that's what I meant. In fact, I think I tried to get you to fly to St. Louis with me for a market, and you're like, no.
Just like riding a bike.
Right.
Oh, that's so funny.
Oh, gosh.
So quilting with vinyl, is there anything different that you need to do? Are you using like when you said 4 millimeters for top stitching, is that what you're using for quilting, like the Like
For that one?
Like say, for example, these guys that are quilted.
So I think on these, I just kept it at 3. I could have gone to 4.
Oh,
And
okay.
it would have been fine. And
So
this,
either one, it would be
yeah,
okay?
Yeah. And this one, I just quilted with a Teflon foot. It was no problem
Okay.
at all. But I will say on the faux lamb's leather, I liked quilting it better with the walking foot.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's because, well, I was doing diamonds then too, so maybe that's
Maybe it
part of
depends
it.
on the design.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think squares are easy no matter what, but when you start doing things on the bias, you get into stretch and pulling, and so the
Okay.
walking foot is easier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
When making straps, do you make any changes? Say if the strap as written in the pattern is too thick to top stitch
Oh, sure.
with vinyl, do you make any changes?
So sometimes what I'll do is take that strip and fold it in so it meets in the middle.
Okay.
So let's see. Let me see if I can do this overhead maybe.
Okay.
Danny, can you switch it to the overhead? Thanks, Danny. So if the strap was going to be 4 layers,
Okay.
I might just take one edge to be like this, and then the other edge of the strap to meet it in the
Okay.
middle.
Okay.
And there, that's the underside of the strap then.
Okay, so you would just leave it, and
Yeah.
then you would top stitch it.
Yeah,
to
I'd
hold that
top
down?
stitch each edge and just hold that
Oh,
down.
okay.
And then you could also do like a ribbon treatment on the underneath.
Oh, okay.
If you want to hide that
I
seam.
see.
But does that make sense what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I
And
understand.
can they see that on the camera?
Yeah.
So that would be,
Well, you know what? How about, I know this is not leather,
yeah.
but maybe this would help, like,
Oh,
since it's
yeah.
like a strap already.
Yeah, that's
Just pretend,
good.
this is quilting cotton, but just pretend that's the vinyl.
Yeah, so I would take it in like this, and the other side in like this,
Okay.
and there's the strap.
Okay.
Instead of folding it 4
would you
times.
maybe like draw a line down the middle to line it up? Or,
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Or even press it,
Okay.
yeah, and match it. And then that works, but you'll have to adjust the width
Okay.
of
yeah.
the strap.
Okay. Yeah. Good tip about that.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a good question. How do you keep the feed dogs from damaging the vinyl, especially when the layers get thick?
I have never had my feed dogs
Oh, okay.
damage my vinyl.
Maybe it's just those types of vinyl that you carry are just not.
They're not prone to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never had that problem. I don't think you can lower them. What you could do, and I think this would work, I should test it for you all, is again taping that Teflon baking sheet over even the feed dogs and see if that helps. Do you think it would still pull the vinyl through though? I wonder. I'll test that for you. I'll get back to you on that. But yeah, I've never had a problem with the feed dogs.
Are rivets best for bags holding heavy items, or do you think just top stitching will do? Like rivets on the straps, I think they meant.
I love rivets on the strap. You know, sometimes I'll sew the strap on, but then add rivets.
Oh, okay.
You know,
or Chicago screws if you don't have a
screw-
rivet press. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I love that because it just adds a lot of strength to that.
Do you use wonder clips for sewing vinyl, or do those leave teeth marks?
So I use Wonder Clips all the time. And if I'm worried about the teeth marks, I just use a little scrap of batting or fabric.
Oh, I never
And-
thought about that. That's
yeah,
a good idea. I
and do
never thought
that.
about that. Can you use anything else besides wonder clips that might not leave
Some
if
people,
they're worried about teeth marks?
Well, yeah, I was going to say on the inside, some people staple even, but that would leave holes if it's on the outside. Let me think.
Okay.
I think I usually just use the Wonder Clips.
Okay. I like what you said about putting a scrap of like batting on.
Yeah.
To protect it. That's a good idea.
You always have scraps of batting or foam or fabric laying
Yeah,
around.
that's true.
You know?
At home, when you're sewing at home, how do you store your vinyl?
Ooh, I have it rolled up. So I roll it up, and then I have cubbies that I just stack it in there. But I've
Okay.
seen lately some people buy those over-the-door hangy things.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they kind of
Yeah.
put their vinyl in that. Looks so cool.
Oh, show us your little what you had wrapped around the vinyl.
Oh yeah, the slap bands.
Yeah.
We
Maybe
have
the brown one back there might be.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one is not branded, but we have these slap bands now in the shop, 5 in a pack, And they are really nice because you generally don't want to put a rubber band around your vinyl because it'll leave marks. And even though you can get it out with some coaxing and some pressing, this is just a better deal.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
just
really nice.
easier. Yeah.
It's reusable.
Yeah, it's reusable.
Yeah. Exactly.
Do you have a preference when you're making a bag? Do you like it to be birthed or do you like binding? Obviously, when it's made in all vinyl, do you have a preference and like why?
I think the majority of the time I like birthing a bag because then I
Okay.
don't have to bind all the seams.
Okay.
But in certain patterns, the binding serves a purpose, like a skeleton.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's, you know, I'm just
totally agree
like,
with you.
whatever, I don't care. Let's just do it how the pattern says. Let's roll with it.
Pam says, could you use a piece of tissue paper against the feed dogs to avoid leaving marks? Have you done that before?
I don't think I have. I wonder if that would be, it might come off all the time. Again, I've never had the feed dogs leave marks on
Okay.
my vinyl. I've never had that problem. So experiment with it first before you
Yeah, that's a
go
good
to
tip.
that length.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does grain matter when sewing with vinyl?
Shouldn't matter.
Okay.
Unless it has stretch and then it
Yeah,
can
I
matter.
can see that. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Should you tie off ends when sewing with vinyl or back stitch? Doesn't matter.
I never tie off. Are you go?
Yeah, I don't either. I'm a little
Never.
bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't either.
Never tie off. I will sometimes backstitch if that seam is not being sewn again. There's no problem with that. Just don't go
Okay.
crazy backstitching because then you can perforate the vinyl.
Mary says, if vinyl is folded, how to get the crease out?
Just iron it from the wrong side.
Okay.
That's all you have to do. It should come right out.
Joey says, my vinyl is stored rolled onto pool noodles and then I stand them on end in a box. That's super clever. I love
Yeah,
that.
I like that
That's
idea.
a great idea. You already mentioned cleaning a bag made with vinyl, but what about a bag that has like a mixture of vinyl and cotton? Maybe like cotton at the top and vinyl at the bottom. How would you clean
Clean
that?
it? I'd probably just spot clean with a damp cloth.
Okay.
Something like that. And I tell people all the time, if my bag is looking that dirty, I'm just going to make a new
Yeah.
bag. I am not messing.
All right. Those were all the questions that I had on my list. Danny, were there any more questions? I know you've been sprinkling them throughout the show. Were there any more questions that we didn't get to?
Yeah, it's about vinyl.
Awesome.
All right. So Natalie brought some vinyls to give away. We're going to do, I think, 3 live winners, and then we'll have 1 winner where you have the full week to leave a comment on the show to enter. So the live winners, they're added together in Danny's software, all of your comments. And so Natalie's just going to pick some numbers. Terry wanted to say, can we please see the inside of the iridescent pouch?
Sure. You can show that one, and
Okay.
I'll show this one. They're lined.
Oh,
I'm gonna
okay.
switch over it so you can
All right,
get
yeah.
in there.
Oh, that sounds good. Yep, so that's quilting cotton on the inside.
Yep.
Can we also, since we're in the overhead, let's show the inside of this one because I don't think
Yeah.
we did, but I think it's interesting to see. Yeah, actually, I like how that looks. That's like a really
It looks finished.
Yeah,
it does look finished. And let's see the sides. Yeah, there's the side.
I don't know what
Awesome.
my post-it is.
Yeah, I
Yeah, and this
Oh, yeah,
is
we
like
wanted
a...
to- I wanted to talk
know,
about-
You guys got it. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
that's okay.
We wanted to talk about this one too.
This one is just, I did a mini panel for the tote. This
So
is
that
quilted.
this is quilting cotton?
Yep,
Okay.
quilting cotton. And then to protect it, because there's so much white, I wanted to just overlay the vinyl. So this can be any gauge. This is a 10 gauge, but if you have the by Annie, that will work as well, and you just lay it right on top.
I really like this as opposed to like using like a laminate product because it just gives it a different look. I kind of like this look a little bit better.
I do too.
Yeah.
It's crisp, it's clean, and it's not going to break down. The iron-on products, I love them at first, but then they always crack and break apart.
And
So.
I think this is great. Like if you have any like spare quilt blocks, I'm sure
Yes.
if you're a quilter, we always have
Scrap buster.
extra quilt blocks laying around, and
Yes,
this
exactly.
would be a great use for them. Yeah,
So fun.
awesome. All right, Danny, for the 3 live winners, what numbers? I'll have Natalie pick the numbers. What
All right,
numbers?
1 through 96.
Just pick any number 1 through 96.
Okay, 62,
All right. 1 through 20.
18,
So 20, 19, 18.
All right, so Elizabeth, you are the first live winner. Please email me after the show, and I'll get you set up with your prize. My email is sarah@sewsweetness.com. Danny's going to put my email address up on the screen.
Awesome.
There it is right there. Please email me after the show. Okay, Natalie's going to pick a second live winner. Is it still 1 through
1
90?
through 99 now.
82.
80 now 1 through 20.
14.
All right, congratulations, Nadine. You're the second live winner. Please email me after the show, and it'll just be one of the vinyls that Natalie showed on the show. So it'll be a surprise who gets what, I guess.
Oh, that'll be fun. Yeah.
All right. One more live winner.
Okay, 1 through 101.
Oh, the pressure. 49.
1 through 20.
13.
All right, Jan is the third live winner. Please email me after the show. All three of the live winners. Again, sarah@sewsweetness.com. And then if you're watching the recording of the show, you have until the end of the day this Saturday to leave a comment wherever you watch the show, either on Facebook or YouTube. And I will draw a randomly drawn winner at the end of the day this Saturday, and I'll announce the winner on next month's show. So good luck to everyone for the giveaway for Natalie's vinyl. Again, Natalie's website is So Hungry Hippie. I've linked to her website in the description, as well as other things that I was scheduled to talk about during the show. If you're interested in things like this, is it called a mallet?
Nylon mallet, yeah.
If you're interested in this or any of the other vinyls that Natalie talked about tonight, please check her website out. Obviously, she only brought a small sampling of the colors and different vinyls, but her full range is on her website. Tell us about your, is it a club? Is that what you call it?
Oh, the Surprise Vinyl Club.
Yes.
Yeah, so the Surprise Vinyl Club is super fun. We mail out a piece of vinyl that has never been on the website before. I've never had it before. Every month for 3 months, along with a PDF bag pattern if you want to make
Okay.
it, and the option to purchase the video course. And so we're going into, let's see, what is now? March. Oh my gosh, this is our third month. This is our last month for this club. And then we take April off, and we'll start another club in May. And it'll go May, June, July.
Okay, so they should
And
sign
that's
up for your newsletter to be first to be able to sign up for that. Okay.
Yeah, it's super fun.
How
I
big
love
are the
this.
How big are the pieces that you send them?
Just like this. So they might arrive folded or rolled. It just depends on the vinyl. And
Okay.
it's 18 by 53, somewhere in there.
Okay.
That area.
Interesting.
But yeah, and it's usually like, I'm known for colorful, fun, sparkly. So it's
Okay.
not, I'm not going to send you beige.
No earth tones.
Yeah.
Donna wanted to know if you ship to England.
I sure do, Donna. We used to live in England with the Air Force for like 7 years. So yes,
Wow.
we ship to England. I love England.
All right. Were there any more questions, Danny?
No.
I think that's it. Well, thank you
Awesome.
so much for
Thank
coming
you.
on the show.
Thank you for having
This was
me.
super fun. We had
Yeah.
dinner. The four of us, we had dinner before, and it was
Yeah.
like a blast. So
Yeah, it was
thanks
so
for
fun.
coming.
Thank you.
All right. I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode of Social Sunday. Since we're on our once-a-month schedule, our next live show will be on April 7th. It will be on the same time as always, 7 p.m. Central Time. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it, and we'll see you next month. Happy sewing, everyone.